Hello, it's our town. It's the show we bring to you each and every Thursday morning at 9 a.m. right here on 94.9 and 99.1 The River. My name is Darren Swenson. Our town, as always, brought to you by Decorah Bank and Trust. A little later on in the program, we got 6 guests on the program this morning. 4 are going to be from the toy department. It's the start of the high school football season this week. And a reminder that if you go to the video sections of any one of our websites in the LA Communications family, you get weekly coaches interviews with 12 area high school football coaches. And we're going to bring you a couple of those interviews this morning. We'll talk to Waukon football coach Chad Beermann and Decorah football coach Mike Tangen. A couple of young men from the area going to be playing for the UNI Panthers this season on the football field, who opened up hosting Valparaiso this Saturday. Of course, your home for Panther football is 94.9 and 99.1 The River. Zach Mehmert from Crestwood is going to be joining us. He's going to be the starting defensive end. And Dominic Sisneros from South Winn. Dominic is going to be the long snapper for UNI. We chatted with them a few weeks back at UNI Football Media Day. We'll bring you those conversations this morning. But on the news end of things, we'll chat with Winneshiek County Emergency Management Coordinator Sean Snyder about a series of hazard mitigation meetings on a community level that will be coming up here in the not-too-distant future in Winneshiek County. But our first guest this morning is WinnMed CEO Steve Slessor. The WinnMed Grand Community Picnic will take place tonight at WinnMed. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about more things going on with WinnMed, because there's always stuff going on there. Steve will get the show going next. It's our town. It's brought to you by Decorah Bank and Trust, and you're listening to it on 94.9 and 99.1 The River. Getting here with Steve Slessor with WinnMed in Decorah, and this time of year we usually get to talk to someone from WinnMed, because coming up this afternoon, dinner's on them. The Grand Community Picnic coming up here this afternoon, Steve. I know it's a great annual event. A lot of people ahead to it. Kind of a little bit of a way to, I don't know, I'll use celebrate for lack of a better term, the end of summer and the upcoming fall season. But it's a great community event. Tell us about this year's event.
Yeah, you bet. So as you indicated, this evening, 4:30 to 7 will be the Grand Community Picnic. Seems like every year we've had to kind of think about things a little differently with everything going on our campus, and certainly this year is no exception to that. So due to all the construction and the steel going up and all the new cement being poured, we once again are having to adjust where that picnic is actually taking place. So this time it's going to be in that parking lot that is right closest to Montgomery, where the Northeast Iowa Behavioral Health Center Patients Park. That's where our community picnic and all the activities surrounding it will be located. So first, just really appreciative of the Northeast Iowa Behavioral Health Center for making that available to us. They understand the importance of the community picnic just as we do. So really thanks to them for working with us to continue to make this a reality. So, obviously we'll have the food there as we always do with the U2 catering there, the activities for the kiddos. We'll also have bingo for the adults, which would be a new addition.
Oh.
And then as you come in and park, depending upon where you park, there's buses to take you to where you need to be. And on that bus trip, you'll be able to drive past some of the construction if you haven't already, and see some of the exciting happenings on the campus. So again, that's a tough task to pull off this year, but our picnic planning committee, as always, has done a remarkable job, and we're looking forward to having the public on our campus as we have each year.
And like with a lot of things in life, if you're not flexible, you're not going to have success. And your planning committee seems to step up year in and year out. No matter what the circumstances, they'll find a spot, and it's going to be a great event.
Absolutely. And, it looks like the bees are going to be slightly less than they were last year, too. So looking forward to less of those flying here, there, and everywhere as people are enjoying their sandwiches.
That's always a victory on that end of things. You touched on the construction project going on. I know this has been in the planning stages for quite some time. It's been talked about, but we're
Yep.
seeing a lot of activity on the campus. Give us a general update on the project itself. How's it progressing, and what's going on right now?
Yeah, you bet. So I'll start on the interior that maybe people don't see quite as much. So the first thing that will be open and ready to rock and roll will be our new birthing unit. So that is a complete reconstruction in the current space that the birthing unit existed. And that is actually going to be done, hopefully, for the ability for babies to actually start being delivered in the new unit in December. But certainly think January at the latest is a realistic time frame for that. So it'll be fun. Of course, we're dealing with a lot while the construction is happening, and it'll be really fun for one portion of that construction to open and be ready to rock and roll as the rest of it is still underway. So, we've kind of talked about this before, but as a reminder, that'll create 6 new what's called LDRP rooms, labor delivery and recovery rooms, where you'll deliver in the same room that you stay in for the remainder of your stay versus having to transport around. So really looking forward to having that new unit open here towards the tail end of this year or early next. But what most people are seeing is what's happening on the outside. And so on the north end, all the new cement has been poured for that large expansion that'll happen on the north part of our campus, and that'll double the size of our clinic space, our primary care and specialty space. That piece won't open up until the first part of 2026. So that'll be a bit of time before that opens up. And then on the south end, the other expansion where the steel is actually going up, where people coming for a picnic should be able to get a glimpse of that, is the expansion on our surgical services. And that's creating 2 brand new operating rooms that are much larger than our current rooms that will allow for additional technological capabilities, with ultimately being able to offer robotic surgery at some point in our future as well. Our current rooms really can't suit that, but the new space will be able to do that. And then there's some other interior renovations. But again, as people are on our campus, you'll be able to see where that new building is going to lay out for primary and specialty, and then also for our surgical services on the opposite ends of the campus.
I believe at least the discussion phase of this project might have even predated your time at WinnMed. How exciting is it for everybody involved just to see a little bit of this project coming to fruition here in the not too distant future?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. The first part of the master facility planning process started in 2017. So it's been a long time coming. Of course, there are reasons through COVID and whatever that it couldn't happen right away. But I think our staff is very excited, especially when they start seeing things like the cement being poured, the steel being raised. And also, I'll take an opportunity, I guess, to mention that there will be a beam signing that'll happen at our community picnic as well, where individuals will be able to sign one of those beams that'll ultimately be hoisted onto the new unit, and their name can live forever there in our expansion project.
How'd you come up with an idea like that? Because it seems like one of those things that's probably an obvious idea, but someone has to at least tell a guy like me that it would be a cool idea. How'd you come up with that idea?
Yeah, I can take no credit for coming up with that idea. So it is one of those things that some projects will do in lieu of a shovel in the ground sort of picture.
Okay.
But it is a more of a unique item. So who came up with it? I actually have no idea. But happy it's happening, and at the picnic.
And as long as we have got you on the horn this morning, tell us anything else that's going on with WinnMed. Obviously, a lot of things to update probably continuously, the project being the number one thing going on right now. But that's the headline, but there's a lot more to the story as usual, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I'll take an opportunity to highlight some more growth items. I think at one of our prior talks, Darren, we talked about the retail pharmacy, which has now been open for half a year, and that's just gone exceptionally well. We're really pleased with how that retail pharmacy rollout has gone. The drive-through has been a big hit. So we're seeing really good volume out of that and really good patient experience. We actually just added, or will be here in a week or so, adding a new pharmacist to help with the continued growth in that and to help integrate pharmacy back into our primary care practice as well. So really excited about what has happened there. And then the other big focus has been a lot on our specialty growth. So here over the last, half a year's worth of time, we now have an allergist that is working full-time here, Dr. Donato, two full-time OBGYN physicians. We just had a new full-time hospitalist start, and her full practice will be taking care of patients in the hospital, which is a new thing for us to have full-time here. So Dr. Samuelson, really happy to have her start within the organization. And then still looking forward to adding dermatology here in the summer of 2025. Dr. Jason Zach coming to join us here in under a year now. And then we have new orthopedic surgery that's a few years out, but that has signed with us. So really just that continued growth. And obviously that's the reason for our construction project and why that's happening.
How do you go about as a organization looking at the services that you're providing, then determining what services that maybe need to fill the gaps? What's that process like?
Yeah, I'll give you maybe an easy pragmatic example of that. So in the OBGYN world, we can look at what we're referring out. So what are the things that patients are having to leave our facility to have done? And at the time that we added OBGYN with Dr. Ballard and Dr. Lopez Cortez, the number one thing that we referred out was GYN cases. And so we know what that data is. Obviously, patients want to stay local. We want patients to stay local. And that can be an obvious trigger to say this is a specialty that we should consider adding. So that's certainly one example. There's obviously financial considerations. We do have a decent sense of how much of a population it takes to support a certain specialty. So we have some numbers surrounding that. So there's a few different things that we look at, but that referral out is definitely a big one.
All right, a lot of good things going on at WinnMed as usual, but in the short term, it's the community picnic coming up tonight. Give us a reminder of what's going on, how people can attend, and what fun people will have once they show up tonight.
Yeah, you bet. So no RSVP required. You can just come to our campus again, 4:30 to 7 o'clock. Free sandwiches, chips. There'll be the Moo-mobile. Shakes will cost, I think, $3 is the price tag on that, but that will be available. And then activities both for kids and for adults. So bring your family and you can have fun. Your kiddos will have fun. So please come join us.
I've never been to an event with bingo that I didn't have fun. So right there, that's reason enough to head to WinnMed tonight. Steve, always appreciate the time and the update of everything going on at WinnMed. Looks like it's going to be a great night weather-wise here this evening, and hopefully it'll be a great night and a great community event as usual. Thanks for taking the time and joining us this morning.
All right, very good. Thanks for reaching out, Darren. Appreciate it, and have a great day.
Steve Slessor from WinnMed, the community picnic coming up tonight from 4:30 to 7. Having a conversation now with Sean Snyder with Winneshiek County Emergency Management. And the last time we had Sean on, we talked about the development of a county hazard mitigation plan. And that's going to be the topic of discussion once again here this morning. And Sean, from what I understand, you've got some community meetings regarding the mitigation plan coming up. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so we've had a couple countywide meetings already regarding the 5-year renewal to the hazard mitigation plan. We've got, that's exciting for me. I'm sure your listeners are just as excited about this as I am. But we're going to have hazard mitigation plan meetings in each one of the communities coming up. Many of them take place the week of September 9th, I believe. If you look on my Facebook page, for example, or Upper Explorerland here in Decorah, their Facebook page, you'll see that notice. I believe they also put it in the paper.
And explain once again why this plan needs updating every 5 years.
So this is a FEMA requirement. Every 5 years, FEMA says that a county, cities shall adopt an updated hazard mitigation plan. think of this plan, in my opinion, it's one of the most important plans the county has. By having one of these plans, city, a county is able to tap into dollars post federally declared event for mitigation projects. I think I gave the example last time of, let's say there's something with a levee here in Decorah, for example, that they want to tweak, they want to fix. That could be a perfect example of a mitigation project. Or out in the county, I know there's areas where maybe a culvert is a little undersized and it's a known flooded area or intersection. Through this plan, the dollars available, they could, in theory, upgrade that culvert to a larger one, and thus you won't have that continual damage to that area.
And what does a hazard mitigation plan all entail? How large does it go? What does it all affect? How many potential situations does it all include?
Yeah, so the potential situations are really whatever the community or the team that's there come up with. Each year, I'm tasked to update the hazard vulnerability assessment for the county. We use a lot of that information. Obviously, you can think of different hazards that affect Winneshiek County. Severe storms, for example, pop into my head. So we use that data, and then also, let's say a member like yourself from the public wants to come and partake, which they're more than welcome to. Let's say you have an idea on a hazard that you'd like to discuss. We can discuss it as a group, and if the majority feel that it's needs to be included in the plan, then we add it into the plan, and then we can start to build around that for moving forward.
And if you go to one of these meetings, what's going to go on at these meetings? What will the discussion take place? Who's welcome at this meeting, etc.?
All are welcome. So basically, just come participate. Upper Explorer Land has been hired by the Winneshiek County Emergency Management Commission to update this plan. They do a fantastic job of kind of facilitating the meetings. The city ones are, in my opinion, a little less time involved than like a countywide one. The countywide one is really where we're taking and identifying those hazards, and then we kind of move forward once things have been identified. We can always add more too, but once those things have been identified, then we start breaking it down into smaller bits and start looking at the individual cities. And that's the step we're at now. So we'll come in, we'll have the pre-identified hazards that we've agreed as a group. We'll talk about them and we'll kind of rank them and talk about what are you as the citizen, what do you feel are your top hazards for the Calmer area, for example.
Do cities ever have their own hazard mitigation plans, or are they under your umbrella?
So all are welcome to do their own, but obviously it gets very cost prohibited. By having a countywide one through emergency management, the cities, the schools, any of these organizations or entities can simply adopt the countywide plan, and then that way they're part of the overall umbrella and they have that plan at their disposal.
And is that one of the main reasons when there's disaster declarations, these are countywide declarations and not just for Fort Atkinson or Calmer or Decorah or Bluffton or specific cities, etc.?
Yeah, that has a little bit to do with it. At the county level, like for myself, when we have an event, usually what I do is I'll reach out to the Board of Supervisors chairperson, and he or she will sign off, give me the verbal okay that Winneshiek County has had X happen. And then it might be limited to one municipality in the county, but I do it countywide. That way it opens up agreements between individual cities and the county for resources that way.
Anything we're missing? Anything else the public needs to know on this front at this moment?
No, I'd welcome anyone that wants to learn more. Come on out, check the Facebook pages, and I believe it's in the newspaper or will be for any dates and times. Otherwise, they can always reach out to me and I'll help guide them to the nearest location.
Sean, appreciate the time and the information as always. Thank you.
Thanks, Darren. Have a good one.
Sean Snyder, Winneshiek County Emergency Management, a series of county hazard mitigation plans in specific cities taking place over the next few weeks. UNI long snapper Dominic Sisneros with us. And Dominic, you found a home here at UNI. What has made this home for you?
Just being close to family and friends, being only like an hour and a half away from my family, where I grew up, for sure made it definitely a home. I've been playing with a kid I played in high school. He's the kicker as well. So just, just knowing a lot of people here and, just getting to know some of the teammates just kind of made it home too, especially coming in the spring. Helped a lot, coming right from Iowa State, straight over here, ready to get to work and be the best. So.
How did that getting here in the spring help you as you get ready for the fall, not only from a football perspective, but from a just getting used to campus perspective?
Yeah, for sure. You say that again one more time.
Basically, just getting used to campus, getting used to football. How did getting here in the spring as compared to getting here now help you?
Yeah, it definitely helped a lot, especially with chemistry. We got a new kicker, and then just like kind of the whole operation, just a three group of guys that are just kind of new, and just kind of just working day by day and just getting better and just kind of building that chemistry to be the best.
I know you did it going back into high school, and you did it at Iowa Central and Iowa State. But how'd you get into long snapping?
So just growing up, going to Decorah is just kind of just something to make the team, not make the team. Like I played receiver, but I just kind of kept wanting to compete and just be on the field every play. And then transferring to Southwind definitely kept stuck with it. Just playing just a bunch of positions and long snapping, just really never coming off the field unless I needed a blow. So.
And how did you develop the skill? Because wanting to be a long snapper is one thing. Being good at it is obviously another thing, like with anything in football. How'd you turn into a good one?
Yeah, so started out with a bunch of YouTube videos, just kind of self-teaching myself, and then going into my sophomore year of college is when I really started to pursue it, just kind of thinking that was probably the best route for me to get to where I want to be in the future, and then going to a couple camps. Rick Rubio, long snapping, would definitely open my eyes, and just kind of with the technique and the skill set that I have to build and work on to do what I want to do in the future. So
might seem like a silly, obvious question, but I'm not that bright of a guy. But what makes a good long snapper?
Just the accuracy, the speed, and the operation, and just to be able to run down and cover and try and make a tackle.
And is the last part kind of the fun part for you?
Oh yeah, for sure. Just going down and be able to hit somebody. I probably haven't hit somebody since high school, so we'll see what happens.
But when it comes to the repetition, making sure everything works well, whether it's a punt situation, a field goal situation, a kicker situation, how do you go about that? Because normally you only get mentioned if something goes wrong.
Yeah, basically just being ready at all times during the game, and just kind of knowing the down and distance. If we're at our own 35-yard line and we're probably get ready to kick a field goal or something, so just warming up for field goal, like if it's getting to the third, second down. But then if we're backed up close to the end zone, we're probably gonna have punts. So like especially during like timeouts, and then you'll be able to get out there and just get like a couple snaps. It don't got to be anything crazy. Just kind of just get ready to get in the mindset and just ready to go to work. So
I know Coach mentioned you're going to be the guy at the long snapping position. How do you make sure just your whole unit is on the same page?
Yeah, for sure. Just being the leader in that group and just knowing what I got to do to do my part, do my job, and knowing and trusting that everything is going to run smoothly. Just throw the ball, play catch. So.
All right. Zach, you've moved over to the defensive side of the ball. What went into that change?
Just looking to get on the field. Just looking to move up and get on the field as soon as I can. So,
I know you were playing in the defensive side of the ball in the spring. How did you acclimate yourself to that position? How do you feel how it went?
I think it went pretty well. I didn't play much defense in high school, but it's a lot just learning technique and learning as quick as I can. I think at the end of the day, just being physical and fast goes a long ways. So just applying those traits the best I can.
When you look at where you were in the spring as a defensive end as compared to where you are now, how have you gotten better? What steps do you need to take that next step forward by the time Valparaiso gets here on August 31st?
Yeah, well, my technique's gotten better since the spring, but I still have a long ways to go. Just doing the little things every day, and I think I'm starting to get the gist of it, and now it's just developing those little things.
How do you go about doing that? Do you watch film? Do you get coached up? Do you look at yourself? What goes into that process of improvement?
Yeah, watch a lot of film, notice the things I'm doing wrong, and then just correcting it. We spend a lot of time out in film, out in Indy, and just correcting those little things. So,
when you look at the goals that you have for this year, individually at least, what type of goals are they?
Just get on the field. That's my big one. I want to play and wherever that is, special teams, defense, wherever it is, just be out there and have the biggest impact I can. So.
And seemingly there's a lot of possibilities on the defensive line. You return a couple of starters in the middle of that line, but seemingly there's possibilities for some playing time there. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, I sure hope so. I mean, we're not real focused on. I would say we're real focused on depth charts and all that right now, but just being the best team that we can be. So.
How hungry is that group of guys collectively to make an impact?
I'd say very. It's a little bit younger group, but I think we're all very excited to have an impact this year. So.
I know preseason-wise, you guys were picked 8th in the Missouri Valley Conference. Obviously, that might be a top 25 team nationally, but 8th in the conference, a little lower than UNI is used to. How hungry does that make you guys?
Honestly, I don't really pay much attention to the rankings, to be honest with you. I just come out and do the best I can every day, and I think that's kind of the mindset of everyone. So,
all right. The Decorah Vikings will open up week number 1 at Waukon, talking to Vikings head coach Mike Tangen. And Mike, as you very well know, to give yourself a chance to have some good on-the-field success, you got to put in the work when it comes to the time when nobody's looking in the off-season. What type of an off-season did you have as the guys got ready for camp?
Yeah, so I'm really pleased with our off-season. I thought our kids did a really good job. We set record numbers in the weight room all summer with not just a football team, but all the athletes that we're working with here. So, yeah, we had a good summer. We did some Sundays, some practices, and things like that. But yeah, we had a good summer. The guys have worked really hard. What's pleased you the most about camp to this point? I'd say the gel between the juniors and seniors. I think that's been a really good transition. We have a lot of new guys that are going to have to be put in some key situations that weren't on the varsity team last year. So I think the seniors have done a great job of getting them up to speed, and I think the juniors really have kind of come together. And I think the two of them have gelled very well together so far. How does that happen? Because it just doesn't happen. What do you credit that to? Leadership. I mean, we've got great leaders on the team, and not just the captains, but I mean, just the whole senior group. I think that they're a very selfless group, and I also think that they realize after last year, we lost quite a few guys, and they know that it takes more than just one group to be successful. So I think that they've just done a good job of handling that. And last Friday night, you had an opportunity to go against somebody besides yourself as you went over to New Hampton for a scrimmage. What were the takeaways from the scrimmage last Friday? I was very pleased with the scrimmage. New Hampton's in a similar situation that we were a few years ago. They have a new head coach, but they're also installing a new offense, so that takes a little bit of time. But yeah, no, I thought as a whole, I thought our kids played hard. We obviously have quite a few things to work on. I mean, it was a scrimmage. But the thing that I was pleased with, our guys are pursuing, they're hustling, they're playing physical. They're doing the scheme the best that they can. And so I thought overall I was pleased with our scrimmage. How important is it to see somebody besides yourself heading into week number 1? So when you get into these game situations against Waukon on Friday night, it's really not a foreign concept to them. Yeah, so one thing I like about going against somebody else is, I mean, really game 1, you have no film on the other opponent. Waukon's got similar coaching staff, so I think that we'll probably see something similar. But what was nice is we didn't know what we were going to see going into this week, and the kids had to just follow the rules and trust their assignments. And I think that that's a really good experience for them. The front that they were giving us on the defensive side was not something that we had even really prepared at all. And so, our kids were able to follow their rules and trust in the play. And, that to me that to me is an important thing because, going into week one, you really don't know what you're going to see.
And as you prepare for week number one, how much of it is just doing your best and seeing where you're at? How much is getting ready for what you might see in your opponent?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. I think you really got to focus on yourself. Obviously we are very familiar with Waukon. Waukon's very familiar with us. So they're a tough team to prepare for. But I think the combination of the two going into this week is important. But, just getting our kids to know their assignment, know what their rules are, it allows them to play faster. And so if we can get them to do that, we're going to be in good shape.
And what are you expecting out of the Indians come Friday night?
I mean, if you don't respect Waukon football, I mean, you really don't know the history behind it. I mean, I could go back to, there's so many great football names that come from Waukon. I mean, back when I played the Cunningham, I mean, he was a great athlete. Ike, every time I go to their stadium and I see his picture on the side, miss that guy. But, those guys were awesome. And then you got Weimillers and Snickers and, O'Neill kids. I mean, these kids are just, they love football. And so what do I expect to see from them? And their coaching staff is great too, by the way. I think their offense is very tough to defend. Their defense, they fly. They're aggressive on special teams. So, I mean, they are a very well-coached team and they play hard and they love football. So that's kind of what you expect going over there, which is an awesome way to start because it is challenging, but it prepares us.
With a hat tip to Coach Post, perhaps a Donnybrook coming up Friday night?
Yeah, exactly. Yep, for sure.
All right, Coach, hopefully you can get your head coaching career off to a good start this Friday night. Keep your kids healthy. We wish you best of luck.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Mike Tangen, head coach of the Decorah Vikings, traveling to Waukon this Friday night. Week one, it's Decorah and Waukon from Waukon on Friday night, chatting here with Indian coach Chad Beermann. And Coach, you've been at practice a couple weeks now. What's made you the most happy about the guys to this point?
Oh, we've been able to throw together some decent practices. Tonight it was hot. We were able to get out and deal with that a little bit. But kids are practicing well. I would say, we kind of have a broad spectrum, particularly on the offensive and defensive lines. We're getting close to kickoff, and I'm still not exactly sure who's going to be starting up front. So it'll be an interesting group to work with in the season.
And when you have a situation like that, is there a way that you can potentially turn that into a positive and create some depth that perhaps you might not have known you had?
I would say we can, because when the kids are competing, they know that they got a shot at getting a spot, and we've got a lot of kids that are kind of in that mix right now. And so it'll give us some depth. Kids can get in on the field and give us some good time in game action, but it also makes for more competitive practice.
And obviously, as you very well know, having a good off season gives you an opportunity to have a good regular season. How was your off season? How ready were the guys when you started practice a couple weeks back?
I'd say mixed. I mean, we had some kids we were really counting on that really hit it hard, got in the wave, did track, had all the summer stuff we did, and some kids didn't. And hopefully that'll the kids that separate. We do have to count on some kids that didn't really put in the time, but that's kind of the way it goes. You got to take what you got. So.
And so far, when you get ready for a week one opponent, obviously you're pretty familiar with Decorah, and Decorah is pretty familiar with you. But how much of this week is just focusing on seeing what you have and what you need to do to get better, and how much of it is focusing on the specific opponent?
Well, this is a little bit different because it's another new. This is actually the third Decorah head coach I've faced since I've been at Waukon.
Wow.
So I'm sure some things will be different. So we don't know exactly. We know kind of the personnel. We're pretty sure the defense will be similar to what they as a defensive coordinator. But as far as what we're going to see offensively, will it be the same, similar? What are we going to see there? We don't have any film obviously to look at, so that'll be new as far as. So we have to be really general defensively as far as prepare for it, and then offensively again, we've seen their defense for several years now, and unless there's he's going to pull a surprise, we kind of have a good idea what we see. It's just, the kids always do well. So
You faced 3 Decorah coaches. Is that a sign you're becoming a KG veteran there, Coach?
well, yes, actually it is.
And how important is it from a program perspective to keep this good rivalry going with Decorah?
Well, I think it's a good test for us. I mean, when Crestwood is not in our district, we try to match up with them, and sort of kind of measuring stick in Decorah and the 3 Northeast Iowa Conference schools up there in the corner. I think we all like to see each other, whether it's in district or non-district, to keep that alive.
And I know you don't know a lot specifically on what's going to happen from a schematic standpoint, but what are you expecting from Decorah this Friday night?
Well, offensively, I mean, they're always going to come at you. Their offensive line, they're usually run heavy, and you'd expect a defensive head coach would be run heavy because that's a good way to protect the defense. I'm sure they'll throw some play action passes. The last several years they've started mixing into the RPOs. So I'm sure that stuff we'll see. And then you've got 4A athletes doing it. And then on defense, they do a good job usually. A lot of mixing man-to-man coverages around and bringing some blitzes, and I'm sure we'll see a nice rotation of defensive linemen, which is something that is done. So I mean that's what we're expecting, and I'm fairly confident we'll see.
All right, Coach, out of you at Dan, you have a ball game Friday night to get the 2024 season underway. Keep your kids healthy. We wish you best of luck.
All right, thank you.
Chad Beermann, head coach of the Waukon Indians. Waukon in Decorah in week number 1. Munga Tuck to the people on the program that took a few moments out of their busy schedules to join us this week. Steve Slessor with WinnMed in Decorah. The Grand Community Picnic taking place 4:30 until 7 this afternoon. Winneshiek County Emergency Management Coordinator Sean Snyder. UNI football players Dominic, Sisneros, a South Wayne grad, and Zach Mehmert, a Crestwood grad. Decorah football coach Mike Tangen, and Waukon football coach Chad Beermann. We always remind you at this time that we put these shows on YouTube every week. You're busy, you got a lot of things going on. You can't always be near a smart speaker or a radio at 9 o'clock on a Thursday morning, but this morning we got to talk to 6 pretty interesting people, and we want you to have the ability to consume that content on your schedule. If you're out and about on YouTube, 8-29, Our Town program is a great way to look that thing up. We also put the links on all of our Facebook pages as well. It's another way we do our best to keep in touch with you here at LA Communications. Thank you to our guests. Thank you to our sponsor, Decorah Bank and Trust, and a thank you, that's right, you, the listener or the viewer, for tuning in, for logging on, or for watching Our Town. It's been brought to you by Decorah Bank and Trust, and we bring it to you each and every week right here on 94.9 and 99.1 The River.